Ghost Scripted is a new body of work that explores themes of mortality and that looks at the impermanence of the human body. The majority of the work was directly, to some degree, inspired by a poem by a Canadian woman called Jennifer Sweeney. The poem's called In Flight. It's about essentially these mythical birds that live in the Himalayas, that they're born in flight, they live their life in flight, and they die in flight. They never touch the earth. So they're constantly struggling against this pull of gravity, and in itself I thought that was, as an image it's quite tragic, but it's also beautiful, and the poem continues to start to draw comparisons between that and the human condition, parallels that we face in our own everyday life. So that's the sort of territory that the work's exploring, or maybe looking at facets that are raised with that kind of area. I think that just by the nature of my practice, I don't like being tied down to a particular medium. It's not necessarily that I particularly choose to decide to make a piece photographic, or if I will, decide to make a 6-foot sculpture. It's more that that's just what I feel would convey the idea of the sculpture most accurately, or sometimes the materials can play an important role, other times they don't. I would say the photographic piece in the exhibition is probably the fact that it's a photograph is not necessarily at first discernible, whereas other elements in the sculptural work I use a lot of coal, which in itself was a very deliberate and conscious effort to put that in, because it has its own, if you like, the material has its own history, because coal, again, for me the thinking behind it was it symbolises something that was previously living, is now no longer living, but at the same time can offer new life as a sort of fertilizer or catalyst for growth or whatever. So elements, sometimes the materials support the meaning behind the sculpture in quite a direct or maybe a poetic way, and at other times they're more, it's just simply about the execution or creating a sensuous surface. You always have that kind of balance as an artist, or I certainly do, where it's very difficult to tread the line between creating something that's essentially appealing whilst not at the same time detracting from any meaning that you're trying to convey. For me, I'm attracted to work that's visceral, that you get an impression from when you walk into the room, but at the same time that has to be tempered with something that has content and that has meaning.